think we're ready to go. All right, let's make a mess. Kind of move the cardboard a little bit. Not a big deal. Hey guys, welcome in. We are making shafts for Turkish drop spindles. So we're making these little spindles. So these pieces are barely big enough to make 6-inch. So I'm starting out a little bit on the conservative side, and then I can adjust it to get it to fit. Turning hard maple. And we just burnish with some wood chips, and I'm going to add some wax. Type of wood do I use? I'm currently doing hard maple. I will occasionally make these out of other exotic woods. But for the most part, these are hard maple. There's a 6-inch. Let me grab an example. So these spindles, when they're done, they're 3 pieces. They have 2 that nest together, and then the shaft goes in the middle. And these are used for spinning yarn, or making yarn. So this came before the spinning wheels. So when I order these, I order them oversized so I can true them up. We're going to be using this wrench as a caliper. So as long as the wrench slides over the top, we're on size. There's my story stick. So now we're going to switch from the roughing gouge to the spindle gouge. Light passes. Alright, now I'm going to shut the lathe off while backing out the tailstock so we can see what the spindle itself is doing. It's running nice and true. It was spinning at 3,624 RPMs, and it looked like it was just stopped. So. Now we're going to use this beating tool, just a V-shaped scraper basically. Now we're going to use a skew and lay out our finial on the top. Going to taper everything together. So I have some wire here. We're going to burn some decorative lines in between the beads. Just make some pops so you can see them a little better. Turn the lathe down, we'll start sanding. We're starting with the medium grit. We're going to go to a fine grit. Turn the speed back up, we're going to burnish. I'm going to grab some wood chips. Put a little bit of paste wax on. So now we're as far as we can get while being between centers. Now I'm making shafts right now for drop spindles, but if you were making, spindles for like furniture, or if you're making a magic wand or whatever, a wooden pen, kind of that kind of thing, all spindle turning. So since I'm clamped in over here in a 4-jaw chuck, I can form the top. We'll take the skew and then we'll cut it off on the bottom to a point. So we'll actually test the shaft. So it's running nice and true. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. So I am testing out a new setup. So I am streaming off my phone. So with my monitor here, I've got one of these splitters so you can have 4 different inputs. So I've got my chat in one window. This is the live stream in the other window. We got some TV going, some portals till hell, and then I have my cell phone in the bottom corner. So it gives me the ability to read the chat and see the chat at the same time. Now we're running this TV here. The other monitors, so Vicky was working, she just has the TV. So yeah, that'll help me stream and keep us entertained while we're working. And yeah, so far it's working fine. So me and my partner, we were hearing protection at work, and it's they're also headsets, so we can listen to music or have something going in the background. We do a lot of production work, so like today, I'm probably going to be making shafts for 8 hours today. So when I need to take breaks and sit down, I'll go on the scroll saw and cut on that. So we are building inventory right now. We have 2 shows in about a month. We have a show in Chicago that I think it's the first time it's going on. We've never been there, so not sure how that's going to work. And then the weekend after that, we'll be in Minnesota for Shepherd's Harvest, which is a fiber festival. And then we get like a 3 or 4 month gap. And then we hit the fall shows and start over. So I have my small tool rest on. We're going to be working on 6-inch and 4 1/4 inch, depending on the piece of wood. So when I'm making longer pieces, you'll see me, I'll take the smaller pieces and I'll throw them in a bin. These are the smaller pieces. So if I'm making a shorter spindle, I'll be able to get 2 out of 1 piece. Big enough to make a 6-inch. It's right on the cusp. We're talking, not a lot of wiggle room in there, so we'll make a 4 1/4 on this one. So today is kind of my last day of just relaxing and making these. Getting a bunch of filament in the mail today. I think I'm getting like 15 rolls in. So I'm going to be sparking up the printers. So for Chicago, we only have one booth. So basically, we're just bringing spinning stuff. But for Minnesota, I'm going to be bringing some 3D printed dragons, because everybody loves 3D printed dragons, right? I want to say this is my last year making them, but we'll see. Our show in North Carolina, I brought 40 of them and came home with 4. They're still selling. Yeah, somebody requested a 3D printed smaller Destiny spindle, which I don't have, so I'm going to be designing that tomorrow. Alright, so this is a story stick. It just has lines on. And I made this cutout so I could register it against my my test jig here. Then I can just transfer them across. That way, they're all going to be the same size and sit in the same position. So if a shaft breaks, if somebody gets a replacement, it's going to be the same. So this is basically just the stream is me testing out the new monitor system, and it's working great. Today I'm getting some wireless HDMI so I can fit my video into the other room. Got a little knobby there, not a big deal. We sand the bottom in the next step, so we'll just sand that off. So yeah, the next step would be to sand the bottom off, put a little bit of wax on the bottom as well. And we do that when we do the sanding for the arms. If you're just tuning in, we are making these today. Very tight, so we'll just make 4 1/4 of it. And yeah. This one will work. Well, just a little bit under what I want. The whole full screen thing going? That makes me happy.
Yeah, that's exactly what you wanted, right? Yeah.
And now if you look at your other monitors, you just have the TV going.
Yeah, you said that.
So, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I could split this on all your screens too, but you don't care about the monitors.
No, I don't. No, not really.
I mean, obviously it's going to be different if we set up, all the cameras and that. But, I mean, for the time being, I think this is working out well. And I'm making little shafts.
Right.
It's exciting.
Yeah, like thousands.
I do.
You may not have actually thousands of them, but I do have
Yeah. If I would go through the bins in the back, yeah, that's probably 500 at least.
Yeah.
The good news is we're not making 500 today, so.
Right.
Get to work. I'm not paying you to do nothing. She does all the accounting, so I'm not getting paid. She is. I'm gonna throw my headphones on and get back streaming if that's okay.
Yeah,
It's like poetry in motion. She blinded me with science. Yeah, so if you look, we just have just a little space on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very conservative. So this is where my taper is going to end. So I'm purposely making it a little bit on the, even with this, even though I'm going to need like 1/8 of an inch. Set that in there. So I'm just giving myself some wiggle room. You can always take more material off, but we're not going to be adding material. And now we got a bunch of vibration. Oh well, what can you do? That one's too short. If you guys are new to this stream, my name is Scott. This is Making It with Scott. I do some beginner to intermediate scroll saw and lathe projects. A lot of times the videos will just be whatever I'm working on. I've made a bunch of very beginner-friendly videos on the scroll saw. We did some little lathe projects as well. Then the bottom here will get sanded off in the next step. Actually, I'll sand it. Alright, so after a little sanding, there you go. Alright. If you guys would be willing to click your screen a couple times, that'll help get some more people in here. Potential scam. So now I'm even, so I got to come back just a little bit. Yep, so right now we're just building up inventory. We got a couple shows coming up. So I'm just getting a bunch of shafts together just so... So this is what we're making today. The arms get cut off on the scroll saw. So I'm making a bunch of shafts up now so that I can just relax on the scroll saw on Thursday and Friday and just cut out a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, speaking of scroll saws, the Buck Tool 16-inch scroll saw that I did a review on 3 months ago is finally back in stock. If you're looking for a good 16-inch double parallel arm scroll saw, the Buck Tool is on Amazon. It is, I think, $350. Regardless, I did a review before Christmas, and then I believe they've been sitting in a bonded warehouse because when you import things from China, it's kind of hard to pay the tariffs if they change every other day. So they're back now, so we're good. So the Buck Tool saw is manufactured by Chansen. They are currently making scroll saws for a bunch of different companies, including Bauer, so the Harbor Freight, the good Harbor Freight saws made by them. Rikon, they're doing the Rikon saws. King, the They're making the new King 22-inch or 21-inch saw. Just a bunch of companies. Decent saws for the price. And they do have a 5-year warranty. Where if you buy the Bauer, you only have, a very limited time. Unless you pay for an extended warranty, which I usually do. But by the time you pay for the extended warranty, the prices are very, very similar. Now we're just burnishing with some wood chips. So I've been making spindles full-time for the past 13 years. Find your niche and hold on. So before doing the whole spindle thing, I was making word signs and wooden toys on Etsy. I started doing that in 2008, but that was just a hobby. So I was cutting out things like this. A lot of, ampersands and eat signs and that kind of stuff. So I worked in factories for almost 20 years prior to doing this. This is actually the longest job I've had. I worked almost 13 years in a bindery putting magazines together. And then I worked at a vehicle manufacturer working on the assembly line. So I used to be an assembler at Oshkosh Truck. A lot of military vehicles, cement trucks, that kind of stuff. The fire truck that hit the airplane, I used to make those fire trucks. So for whatever reason, the Strikers, the airport fire trucks, were made by Oshkosh Truck, where the majority of the fire trucks and ambulances and that kind of stuff were made by Pierce Manufacturing, which Oshkosh Truck owns. So they also own like Jardin. They make towing equipment. They also own JLG that does a lot of lifts. Much happier doing this. the snow is just about gone. It's 37 degrees out, so we got that going for us. Yeah, so last weekend we were in North Carolina at a fiber show. And then between Sunday and Monday, I think we got a foot of snow here. We did kind of luck out because my son was taking care of our cats, and he got stuck shoveling the sidewalk. And then Vicky's son got his hands on a plow truck and came and plowed out our driveway for us. We were able to get home and actually relax. Big pain in the butt. Our workshop here, we only have, we have to park on the street. We don't have any parking in the back. And the city did an emergency where there's no parking on streets because they had so much snow to deal with. So we got home and we couldn't work anyways because there was no way that people were not supposed to park on the street, and they did anyway, so they plowed them in. And then there's just huge snow drifts in the road, so it was like, even if I would park, I would have to park across the street and like carry things through snowbanks and stuff. So we ended up being forced to taking a couple days off, which wasn't a horrible thing. So it was a lot of calling the city and seeing, if I park here, am I going to get towed or fined? Obviously, they don't do that a lot. We were able to get in here real quick and unload in the back. Now the snow's almost gone. As far as these shafts go, if you're just tuning in, we are making these Turkish spindles. Now, I make the shafts. I got a 4 1/4, a 6, 7, 8, and then a 10. There's a couple in between sizes for very specific things, but those are my basic ones. And then this size, I'm going to be making a 4 1/4. Well, maybe make it a 6 on this. There's multiple different models that use the same length shafts. These are all going in bins. But with 2 shows coming up, we are going to be going through a lot of material. So today for me is kind of a mellow day. I'm just going to be making shafts primarily. Unless I decide to make something else. Yeah, my partner's putting stuff online right now. My girlfriend's listing stuff. Or should I say, I'm her boyfriend. Yeah, we've been working together for probably 5-6 years now. So I started out doing this by myself, and as far as driving across country to shows and that kind of thing, it's kind of nice having somebody with you. She does a lot of the online stuff and the accounting work, and she does a lot of layout and sanding as well. So it's definitely a team effort. So her taking care of the internet stuff is just it's freed me up to do this. So I did clean my 4-jaw chuck this morning. It's getting a little hard to turn in places, so I opened it up, blew it all out. And then I used my favorite dry lube on it. So if you ever have to lubricate a lathe or a table saw or anything, dry lube is amazing. If you've ever used oil or grease, the sawdust just sticks to it. So if you're using dry lube, it does not. So, yeah, this stuff works great. I was using silicone for a while. That works as well. But yeah, the dry lube is just amazing. Don't have a lot of wiggle room. I can maybe get one. Let's try. I need 6-inch shafts more than I need 4 1/4. Worst case scenario is to make a 4 1/4. You're a quiet bunch. I feel like we've got a bunch of people watching still laying in bed going, I don't want. Very close here. We're doing our first show in California. I'm excited about that. I believe it's in October, so we got a ways to go. Hopefully the TSA will be all squared up by then. So I've never been out to the West Coast, so we're just gonna hop in a plane. Fill up a suitcase with spindles and go. And then if it goes well, in the next year we'll drive. It's just, we're in Wisconsin, so it's going to take many days to get there. There seems to be deserts, mountains, all that fun stuff in the world. So there's a couple shows that I would like to get into that I've never been to. There's one in Estes Park, Colorado. That would be fun. I'd like to do Rhinebeck. I've been there with other people's booths many, many decades ago. I would like my own booth. Maryland's coming up here. I think I'm going to apply for that as well. Have to sand and wax that, and that shaft is good to go. Really close. So close that I think I'm just going to sand. There we go. So we are turning hard maple. Hard maple is strong, but it does have a little flex to it. It has very small pores. So if I was to make this out of hickory, which would be a great one, it would be like oak, where you have a whole bunch of dots in the end grain. It's just wood is full of like little straws for moving water around, sap around. This has little holes, so they're smooth. If this is open, I turn it, you see a bunch of lines and dots, and it would just, yeah, not be as pretty. And oak turn, yeah, maple turn's really nice. Yeah, so I was saying that I wanted to check out go to a show in Estes Park. So Estes Park's in the mountains, and the Stanley Hotel is in Estes Park, which was the inspiration for The Shining. Okay, this is just so close. So the reason I need to come back here is this pin sticks in about, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch. Just a hair more. So I do live stream a couple times a week. I really don't have a set schedule. So if you want to hang out with me, please subscribe and click the bell so you'll get notifications when I start. And if it gets annoying, you can always shut the notifications off. So yeah, for the next few weeks, I see myself live streaming but not making any recorded content. We just need to keep our nose on the grindstone and keep making stuff. This piece is curly. So yeah, yesterday I ended up getting like a video splitter. So now, you know, I have a live stream of what's going on to make sure the stream is working. Got a window with my chat in. We've got a window where we're watching TV, and then my phone is in another window. And then the rest of the monitors, it's just TV. There's Vicky working very hard. Yeah, this one is too tight. I'm not going to be able to get a 6-inch out of it. So I think we're going to make a 5.5, which is an odd size, but I do have a wholesale person who likes these 5.5 inch. So I think I'm going to make a display to hold spare shafts. So at shows, rather than just having a couple thrown on the table, I want kind of a bunch made. I try to tell, international customers, get an extra shaft just in case something happens. But at shows, people ask for replacements or they want a spare. Life happens and they're not overly expensive. Now, I typically, when I have a larger tool rest in here, I have lines drawn on it, so I know where to start and stop. But these are all different sizes, so kind of have to do them individually. So Vicky is going to be drilling right now. So I might be able to cut some stuff out on the scroll saw. So if you do production work, it's really important to have all your tools in the same location all the time. I use a lot of magnets so I can stick stuff onto the lathe so I don't have to look for it. Same with my wire that I used to burn the lines with. It's got a big magnet on it, so it's always hanging in the same spot. For all my wrenches, I have like bar magnets set up. They have locations for those. My pencil magnet lives on my tailstock. I tend not to be a very organized individual, but it just saves so much time. There's nothing worse than having to stop what you're doing and look for a story stick. Pencil. Pencils are the worst. Workshops eat pencils. So if I'm turning big things, or if I'm turning like ash or something where the wood chips are kind of scratchy, I will wear an apron, and then it's kind of moot because it's got places for pencils. trying to get to 13,000 followers. I'm at like 12,975 or something. I'm not huge for begging for things, but if you want to give me a follow, it'd be much appreciated. So right now the lathe is full speed. We're running at 3,629 ripams, according to the gauge. So you can see it looks like it's standing still, but yeah. So I'm going to support it with my hand. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to cut it off on the bottom. So it's going to go from 3,600 RPMs to 0 in probably half a second. I can see the chat if you guys have any questions. So I was saying I had a magnet on it, and I do have it on the end here. And it just sits on the bottom of my lathe. So I'm just biting on this just a little bit. I'm not. There we go. Yeah, so Vicky's drilling some holes right now so we can go over to the scroll saw. Would you guys rather have me on the Pegasus or on the Bauer? So do you want me on a $280 scroll saw or a $1,000 scroll saw? Either way, works for me. I mean, we could do the Bauer, but it's right next to me, and then I'd be standing up. So honestly, I don't want to do it. I want to sit down. All right, that's too little. But we can get a 5.5. Beading tool. Just drop the bead in there. Drop the bead in here. Now we're too close to the bottom to put a bead in with the beading tool, so we'll use our skew. Come up. Lay out our pinion. Alright, I think we're going to go to the Pegasus. It's just easier for me to sit down there. Closer. Go to the scroll saw. I'm going to save these pieces. So when I went to the mill, I cut all my lumber down to the size we use. And these were the cutoffs. So these are on the end. So normally we use pieces, I think they're 21 inches. So this is just a little bit longer than that. Thick cherry and hard maple, I believe. So these little pieces I might like laser engrave like a little sheep or a fox or something on them and then cut them out on the scroll saw. So it's turning a piece of scrap into something you can make a couple bucks off of. Little $2, $3, $5 items. Do add up. So when I do festivals, I know the majority of the people at the festival aren't going to spin yet, but they might be crocheters, or they might be knitters. So I make like stitch markers. I'm not against making some little cute things as well. Where am I? Let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to drill some entry holes in these. So I am running the drill press off a foot switch. It's just easier for me. Hey, how are you doing? How's it going, Mike? Welcome in. Doing good today. Trying out some new stuff. So I got one of those video splitters, so I got like 4 pictures on one monitor, which is great, except for it's on the lathe. Not the scroll saw. It is good to be back in your shop. So we did really good at our fiber fill. Nothing really exciting happened. No speeding tickets, no traffic jams for the most part. Coming back after the snow was kind of a pain, but the show went well. Nobody warned you about the lag? Yeah, there will be lag. I just don't wait 30 seconds to reply. It's just how it works. Other than that, how did it go? Did you just use your phone, or did you set up some cameras? I used to have very complicated. Looks like for 50 minutes. 1 to 2.5 hours. Nice. Yeah, this is like the simplest setup in the world. It's just a Samsung phone I got that I don't use. And, yeah, talking right into the phone. I have wireless microphones, but this is just easy. Use two Logic webcams. Awesome. So let's see, Mike says I'm going to eventually move to 4 cameras. I have them mounted, select a camera in OBS as I move around the shop. Yeah, so the easiest thing to do would be, set up different scenes. So I would have one scene that was scroll saw, one that was lathe, one that was sander, one that was drill press. And each of those I had 2 cameras on, so I would stream a lot, and Vicky'd be working too. So the screen would be, 4 webcams, my face, Vicky's face, what I was doing, what Vicky was doing. It's not that crazy. It's a lot cheaper than drugs, honestly. I stream a lot because it keeps me motivated to keep working. how I did. Sure looks like a mortise to me. You know, audio is always a pain in the tuchus. If I was running all the webcams, I have some Anchorwork wireless microphones that work really well. But a lot of the problem with the audio is, you know, your levels look fine in OBS and they sound like garbage elsewhere. So you kind of have to, when you first start, you have to keep asking, you know, how's my audio? Does it sound okay? And always review what you recorded. Just keep tweaking it. Right? Let's see. So Mike says I have ADHD, so I get kept away from my shop, doing things for other people. Hopefully, scheduling lives will lock me into the shop work. Yeah, it'll help keep you from getting distracted, or maybe not. So there's software, I believe it's called Camo, and it'll let you live stream an OBS with using a cell phone that's on your network. So if you got to hook up to Wi-Fi, you can live stream from your phone, kind of like what I'm doing, except for through OBS. Then you can just wander all over the house with it. Let's see. You used your IsoTunes headphones for audio last night? Nice. Not familiar with Hollyland, but awesome. So I also live stream when I'm making videos as well. And then I keep that live stream so if people are wondering if they want to watch it live. Because a lot of times I'll do a lot of cuts and speed up the footage. Because nobody wants to watch you cutting a piece of fretwork for, 8 hours. But I do keep that live stream so if people want to see in real time, they can skip around there. It's supposed to be very good with noise canceling. Nice. Now with OBS, you also have a lot of noise canceling options. I used to use Voice Meter, which was awesome. It was a virtual mixing board. But it doesn't work with Windows 11. And the main reason for that is because there was 2 of us, so I needed to get 2 microphones going and be able to send audio to 2 different headsets, and yeah. Yeah, I used a Turtle Beach set of headset for a long time, and that worked just fine. So your hope is to have all the full recordings of all the cameras. So after each live, you can take the individual videos to a voiceover for each and release multiple long form videos? Absolutely. Off the top of my head, I do not remember the name of the plugin that I use. But yeah, it records all the cameras full screen, so you can go back and do that. Yeah, that's what I do with my project videos. You know, I'll live stream me cutting them out. Typically, I do that my live stream will be on the phone, and then I'll be recording with OBS. Now, I don't know how much memory that eats. Hey, not a problem. Have fun with it. It's a fun hobby. It's definitely, you know, not a money-making endeavor. The price of this one spindle is approximately what I make for a month of streaming, for a month of videos. We are making Turkish drop spindles today. These are the arms. We were making the shafts earlier. So this is what they're going to look like when they're done. And basically, you spin yarn the same way that you would spin on a spinning wheel, and just store them on the arms here. So I like to use blue painter's tape and then glue the pattern on the top. It's just really easy to make sure you remove all the tape, and it doesn't leave any residual glue on it. Obviously, they don't give away blue painter's tape, but it's worth it. If I use normal masking tape, sometimes it's really close to the same color as maple. And I use power sanders, so you want to make sure you get the tape off, otherwise it makes a mess. So the nice thing about scroll saws, you could drill a hole and make internal cuts. So I'm cutting out a mortise. And the nice part about doing it this way is you can make the mortise any size you want to. There we go. I'm just going to verify that the holes are in the center, which they are. I'm going to grab my phone and I got a delivery on Amazon. I wonder if it's left yet. Because I'm going to have to unlock the doors and babysit. All right, so my stuff's supposed to be here between 11:15 and 2:15. So
Is the door unlocked?
I'm going to go unlock it now. So I'm getting 10 rolls of filament here. Hey, how's it going, eh? How's Alan doing? Welcome in. So yeah, we're getting a 10 pack of filament. And a bunch of fun stuff. Let's see. Ooh, 50 sublimation earring blanks. Earring cards. That's exciting. Wireless HDMI with 2 receivers so I can spit some video to some monitors without having to run more wiring. Some more filament, some boxes, some needles, and some more filament. Seems pretty exciting. Left an hour ago from Milwaukee. So. Sorry, this is not the exciting part at all. We can. Hey, why don't we restart a video because that would stop. So we'll check the mail and we'll unlock the doors. We do have a dinger on the door, so if it opens, we'll know. See, the snow is almost all gone. And we got coupons, so can't really complain about that. So anyways, this is our front room, so all the accounting and a lot of the internet stuff is done there. These are the racks where we put our products. This rack is Etsy, this rack is Shopify. We do a lot of packaging. Right over here. We just got back from a show, so we got a lot of stuff that needs to be organized yet. And then, you know, you need a big couch. So, in here is kind of our pantry. And there's a bathroom next to that. Everybody needs a shop piano. The 3D printers are going to be starting up today. CNC machine, I'm kind of waiting till Friday to get that going. So, got some laser engravers, and so Vicky gets this Nova Viking drill press, and I get this little one. So this is 5/8 inch cherry. take this pattern off. So we're going to take a square and just make sure that we're still cutting square, which we are. So if you cut too fast and go too far in the corner, these blades are so small that they can actually bend. And then instead of cutting square, you're cutting at an angle. Cherry is pretty easy to cut. When you get to some harder woods, you kind of gotta keep an eye on it. Maple is kind of notorious for having to cut slower. We're actually using Olson precision ground tooth blade. These blades are pretty expensive, but they cut really, really nice. So I went right to Olson's website and just ordered a gross of them. So 12 dozen. So by buying them directly from the manufacturer and getting 12 dozen at a time, it really lowers the price. If I buy them they're sold in a 6-pack rather than a 12-pack, and they're the same price as a 12-pack. So they're twice as expensive as like Olson's Mach Speed blades. So those are the only two Olson blades I like, are the precision ground ones and the Mach Speed. They're modified geometry blades. They're very aggressive. I also use Mikwa blades, which are sold in the U.S. as Flying Dutchmen. And I also use some Pegasus blades as well. Hey, how's it going? Welcome in, Raphael. Long time no see. I'm just getting back into streaming. Yeah, so this is red cherry. So this is the nicer cherry at the mill. The mill we go to, they'll have red cherry and white maple, where they just, yeah. If a piece is clear and looks nice, it gets separated. So they can charge a little bit more money for it. So yeah, we're building inventory. We have 2 shows in about a month. I got a show in Chicago. I don't even know the name of it. When it gets closer, I will. And then we have a Mother's Day weekend. We'll be in Minnesota. For Shepherd's Harvest. Oh, you had something fly off on you? Yeah, that sucks. So how can you properly secure a little heavier wooden stuff on the lathe? You know, the big thing is were you using a chuck or were you using like a spur? Or did you use like a faceplate? Yeah, the big thing with heavier stuff is, you know, you got to make sure if you're using a spur that you get a nice bite on it. So, you know, take it off, use a rubber mallet, kind of pound it in, and then mount it so you're in there. Yeah, so if you're cutting something bigger, slow the speed down. And definitely, wear a face shield. You know, depending on what I'm making, sometimes I'll cut a tendon so I can put it into the forge jaw chuck. So when I'm cutting like the shafts, I don't wear a face shield. But if I start making bigger things, I definitely have a face shield on. Yeah, there's always a possibility that, you know, something's going to break and go flying. You know, after you get it mounted on there, move your tool rest up, you know, depending if you're using a carbide, you know, you might want to give yourself an inch, you know, when you're spinning it around. With my normal tooling, usually about a half an inch. And then when I turn, I'll keep moving the tool rest in so you keep that gap. Yeah. So yeah, normally I'll mount things on these chucks. Ideally, if it fits in there, I can just clamp it. If not, you know, you can get different ways of mounting things onto them. So you had it all done and you're just applying wax. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. I feel your pain. Right? Here you go. It's the best I can do. You can deal with it. Yeah, the biggest thing to remember is, the bigger the item, the slower you have to turn. I'm constantly, running at full speed with this little stuff. Hey, Semi, how's it going? Welcome in. We're cutting out some arms for Turkish spindles on the scroll saw. I think I got about a half a dozen more of these to cut, and then I'm going to go back to the lathe and start throwing some wood chips around. Pretty sure I already did this, but I'll do it again. So I'm just verifying that the holes are centered, which they are. So we're cutting 5/8 inch cherry. These are standards. They're one of the lesser expensive spindles I make. So I do like cutting this out on the scroll saw. Just look at that finish. You don't have to spend a ton of time sanding off, what you get off the bandsaw. Hey, Mr. Mo, how's it going? Welcome in.
Poking through.
All right. If you're confident that those are cut all the way through.
Huh? Yeah.
It works for me.
Yeah, she got enough.
Yeah. Are you laying out 2 dozen of each?
What's that?
Are we doing 2 dozen of each right away? Is that what's going
on? Yeah, that's what's going on. And I'm doing a little extra for the shop too, so yeah.
Okay.
So there's gonna be a ton of cherry.
So I'm just gonna, yeah.
Yep.
Do you like seeing woodworking? Nice. So, yeah. So if you're new to the stream, my name is Scott. Me and my partner, Vicky, we make drop spindles for a living. This is my Making It With Scott channel. So typically the long format videos are project videos. Most of them is I design a project, I cut it out, and then I give away the patterns for the project. That's been kind of what we've been doing. I do review videos as well. Speaking of which, the 16-inch Bauer scroll saw video I did 3 months ago, they're finally in stock.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's like, I think what happened was when they got a hold of me, they're like, you can either order one on Amazon or you can get one of the new ones, the final revision. once they come in. They're on a boat right now. So I'm assuming that they were sitting in a bonded warehouse waiting for the tariffs to kind of even out a little bit because they were coming from China. So, one day it's 50%, one day it's 100%, the next day who knows what. So they are in stock now, and they are for sale. They're a nice little saw. So this is a 21-inch saw, which just means between the blade and the back is 21 inches. So the Bauer's 22 inches, so you get an extra inch. And then, like I said, the buck tool is 16, which I could make 99.9% of the things I make on a 16-inch scroll saw. So it's a nice saw if you have a smaller shop. I mean, it's got all the bells and whistles this one does. Yeah, I also have a buck tool vacuum extractor, which works really nice. So it was one of those things where I had the dust extractor. I'm like, oh, the quality on this for the price is amazing. And like the next week, they got a hold of me and wanted me to do a review. So I was like, heck yeah. And then they were unavailable for 3 months. So I'm a big fan of the double parallel arm saws. I mean, it's just quick changing the blades out on it. Alright, we got 3 more to cut out, and then we'll jump over on the lathe, start making shafts again. Because if I sit here and keep cutting all these out, then Vicky is going to keep laying stuff out, and it's never going to stop. Yeah, have a good time, Raphael. I am on here 2 to 3 times a week. I really don't have a set schedule. This is relatively early for me. It's like almost noon. I've been streaming for a couple hours. Normally I stream, afternoon, 1, 2 o'clock. So the best thing I can say is if you want to make sure you catch me on here, give me a follow and then click the bell. You'll get notified. You can always unclick it if it gets too annoying. Alright, so I'll peel this pattern off. So yeah, Vicky lays out the patterns onto the wood and she drills this hole. And she also sands. So that frees me up to cut these out and to make the shafts. 2 more boards. So it's gonna be really hard for me to leave those boards alone. But I can cut those out later. So what I typically do is I'll work on the lathe for a couple hours until my legs get tired. And then I'll sit down on the scroll saw for an hour or so, or whenever. And then when I feel better, I'll go back to the lathe. Yep, so if you're new to the stream, I've been making these for full-time for 13 years. So this is my day job. All the fun and excitement. So we are in a commercial workshop. It used to be a grocery store way back in the day. It was built 100 years ago. No, it was built 120. It was built in 1900, so 126 years ago. So it's one of those basic Midwestern where all the buildings are sitting next to each other and shared walls and that kind of stuff. Oh no. No. You mean yes?
Well, it's actually not that bad.
Okay, we just got a wholesale order.
6 hummingbird.
Okay.
6 checker gear.
All right.
6 small flower of life.
Ooh.
4 small sheep gear. 4 small Celtic gear, and that's it.
Okay.
So that's not bad.
That's not too bad.
No.
We'll get that printed out. I'll get to work on that.
Hummingbird she wants.
Not a big deal. So it's like probably 30 spindles, which isn't so bad. Now, when's the Woolery gonna place their order? All right, so this is the last one, and then we're going to go on to the lathe. So on Saturday I was here. I made a lot of 8-inch shafts, which is kind of nice because that's what all these use, and that order we just got use 8-inch. So I can continue working on my shorter ones today. So I do use a foot pedal. Turn the saw on and off. I'm using a momentary switch. So I step on it once and it turns it on, and then if I step on it again, it'll shut it off. I also have a dead man switch that's under here that I'm using on the drill press, but I can switch them. Dead man, as you put your foot on it, it turns on. You take your foot off, it shuts off. So depending on what you're making, if I was making some fret work with a whole bunch of little cutouts, I'd be using the dead man. It's just easier. But since I'm turning this on and then running this off for a couple minutes and shutting it off, I use that momentary switch. I'm not going to cut these, I'm just making them smaller. Now these, I'll save this piece here. We can get another spindle in there.
$26.
26 spindles. All right.
Yeah. So, not so bad.
No, that's not so bad.
And most of them are small.
Yeah. So 6 Turkish and then 12.
Yeah.
And then 20 small top rolls. Well, 6 large and then 14 small. It's not so bad.
How many small?
14. Do I have 14 little ones already made? We got 15 here, so as long as I don't mess any of them up, I should be fine.
One extra, so.
Ooh, 1 extra. That's gonna really help.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're already machined.
That
So
helps.
I just have to round them all over.
Good to go.
All right. So we're gonna be moving to the lathe here in a second. I'm just checking on the king room filaments out for delivery.
Oh, our stuff.
Yeah.
Are you getting hungry?
I am getting a little hungry.
A little bit.
So it's supposed to be here between 11:15 and 2:15.
Okay.
And it's now 11:53, so.
We're in the window.
Hello, welcome in. Unfortunately, I only speak English. All right, let's get to the lathe. Do you see us? Yeah. Scary ghost stuff. Scary ghost. Everywhere you look is scary ghost stuff. Welcome in, Brazil. Sorry, I do not speak Portuguese or Spanish. Shafts. I'm leaning towards trying to get 6-inch shafts, but a lot of these are small, so I might be making a lot of 4 1/4. that would barely fit on here. So we're just going to make it into a 4 1/4. So I'm going to make a mark for the bottom, a mark where I burn a line, come up to the top. I'm going to lay out my my finial here. So the little ones don't get beads, they just get one burned line. So we'll burn that. This is just picture frame hanging wire. Give it a quick sand. Starting with the medium grit, then moving to a fine grit. Grab some wood chips and we're going to burnish the surface. And then we'll put some wax on. Come up to the top with the skew. Form the finial. Go through that same process, sand, sand. Add a little wax. We're going to come up to the bottom and cut that off to a point. I'm not sure what that is, Mr. Mo. Oh, furniture. Yeah, I don't make a lot of furniture. I make very, very small things. I got there. I mean, I've made tables, I've made shelving, that kind of stuff. Lots of workbenches. Yeah, so I started out working in a very, very small workspace where I can only make really tiny things. Now I'm in a bigger workspace, but now I have to make a lot of really tiny things. Vicky just came out of the wood room with a whole bunch of maple. Cherry, a whole bunch of cherry. What's that? Yeah. Yeah, I could probably cut those out today, to be honest. I am using this wrench as a caliper. As long as it slides over, I know where the size. Yep, so these pieces aren't huge, so I have to be very careful to leave enough room. So the first, I'm very conservative, because I can always take more off, I can't put more back on. So on the front, you have to have some space because that pin is sitting on the inside, so there's a hole in the middle of there. It's only sticking in there about a 1/16 of an inch. Maybe a little deeper. Yeah, eventually I plan on making some bandsaw boxes, but I'm kind of holding off until I want to get a very specific bandsaw. It's made by Pegasus. It has really, really, really small blades. So that I won't have a huge curve. So the drawers aren't going to be real wobbly. It's on the list. It's like 3 things away, so I buy one thing at a time, and when I get that paid off, then I get something else. We have the next thing is going to be a different laser engraver, and then there's a different 3D printer I want to get, and then just out of curiosity, yeah, it's too little. that wasn't going to end well. Yeah, so these little ones, I start out with a piece this big, then I'll clamp it in and I'll make, either a 6, 7, or 8 inch shaft on here, and then I have some left over, so we're going through the leftovers now. Just give you an idea. That's one box. Got like 3 or 4 more of them, so. That piece is curly. Fancy tiger maple here. Alright, sorry about that. Since this one has figuring on it, it'll probably get set aside and used for a special spindle. Depending on how it turns out, of course. This one's going to be tight, but I want to get a 6-inch shaft out of here rather than a 4 1/4. Just a little more. So it is close enough where I'm just going to sand it down. I don't want to be too aggressive. Yeah, I just wanted, because I kind of forgot about it, so. I mean, and yeah, we can't forget about orders, because. Alright. I'm just going to track this package, see if it's anywhere near here. Nothing yet. So we get deliveries, at the shop here. They're supposed to bring it inside because we are a business. Sometimes they don't, so I got to keep an eye on it. I don't want them to leave the packages sitting outside our door, which is right next to the sidewalk. Just trying to keep honest people honest. Hey guys, welcome in. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. My name is Scott. This is Making It with Scott. Typically, the long format videos are me making projects, a lot of scroll saw and lathe stuff, a lot of beginner stuff. And I do live stream a couple times a week. This is my day job. I run Snyder Spindles. I've been doing it for a little bit over 13 years. Hey, Carlos. For a second there, I thought that was a platypus. Very platypus. It's too early to do a duplicate spurts. Way too early for that. Well, it is afternoon. Hard to see with the light, but it is curly. Stripey, stripe, stripe, stripe. This piece is iffy. Yeah, the green is real funky here. So we'll try it, but yeah, I don't think I am. I think I'm going to stop. The way the green is, it's going to be really weak right there. It's going to want to break. Yeah. So if the green is running parallel, it gives it strength. When it starts curling over, it's going to be very easy to break. So. It was definitely worth a try. So this one, you can see the grain is running parallel. So by using the story stick, which is this to make my marking, they're all going to be very close to being the same. Alright, I think I'm going to walk through what we're doing here. We got hard maple in there, we got doubling, that's oversized. I used to cut my own square stock and turn that. This just, it costs a little more money, but it saves me a lot of time. Sometimes time is money. Oh, she's working. Yeah, got a bunch of stuff laid out for me, and she's working on the wholesale order we just got. I think we're going to go for another 15 minutes so I can get 3 hours in, and then start making some lunch. So lunch is going to be leftovers. I made fried rice for breakfast, so we're going to have some fried rice. We got some 15 bean soup, a little bit of manwich. Normally leftovers are the worst, but we got some good leftovers to finish up today. Yeah, so we just got back from a show last week. We've been home for just about a week now. So my partner's got a lot of things to list, to put on the internet from the show. Even though we got another show in a month, keep rotating stock in. We are starting to put a dent into this box. We got a long ways to go. Obviously, this is going to be a short one. this stream was to test my new video splitter, which is working amazing. If you look at my screen, I got a live version of the chat. We got the chat, we got the live stream going, and then I have just some TV going in the background. Hey, thanks, Bradley, I appreciate it. But the rest of them are just all playing the TV show, which would make a lot more sense sitting in that chair, or if Vicky was sitting in this chair, or that chair, or that chair. Hey, thank you. Yeah, this is the main room, and then we have two unheated rooms that way, and then we got like more of a commercial room out that way. Plus we got a basement. We're lucky. This place came up. It's about, I don't know, a 5-minute drive from our house. I can walk here in like 15 minutes. 12 if I'm humping it. We've been doing this for 13 years, so we've been in here about a year and a half. It's kind of nice to have a separation between the house and work. Dust extractor is in the next room over. Since it's just me and the girlfriend, she's got her own little extractor there. We have a lot of vacuums as well, but we've got this little roll-up door here, so I got it all insulated because it's not heated over there, and then just one single hose. So if I'm sanding there, I'll just hook that hose up. I got the planer and drum sander in here as well. So we do some dimensioning in here. Yeah, so this is our wood racks. We just got some maple and cherry and some exotic woods the other day. I didn't want to go overboard. We got 2 more shows in a month. When those shows happen, we'll have this all filled up. We got a little back room back here. Just a bunch of storage. We got the Shopmaster scroll saw that eventually I'll building a different table for. Got a Delta scroll saw there. Eventually I got to sell that stand. It's for Delta saws or those yellow ones, DeWalt. There's a Vicky and he's talking. I got my headphones. What's that? Yeah. That'll work. So she wants full-size top whirls, right? The big ones?
Yeah.
Just 10?
Yeah, just 10.
Alright, I got 10 here. I gotta machine them, but they're there at least.
Okay, well, there you go.
We got some already laser engraved over here.
She wants sheep here. What do you design yet?
No, I'm gonna have to design that.
And then the counting.
Okay, I got No, I don't have any Celtic either. Well, I got one.
6-flower life.
6 flower life. I got 1 flower life. All right.
So,
Well, that was a start at least. Yeah. Huh. What are those for?
like random.
I mean,
Probably just put them on a stick because I'm like, hey.
right. Yeah, so this is what we've been working on filling up here.
Looks like they're lasered already too.
Yeah, so they just need 7-inch shafts.
Yes.
Or 8-inch shafts, whatever. So, yeah. So this is what I've been working on today, and then I'll get a count on those when I put them in there. Yeah, we kind of have a little mess going on, to be honest. So, okay, I'll make one. And then I'm going to have to get some lunch. Do you want to grab the toaster and lightly toast a couple pieces of bread so we can finish up the sandwich? Or I can finish up the sandwich. All right. I have to say it. There's worse ways to make a living. Into focus, I guess. This one little shaft here is going to make more money than this live stream will. I do enjoy streaming, but it's not a profitable venture. At least for this kind of stuff. So I don't know about you guys, but I do have a backup lathe. I've got several backup scroll saws. It's like things that I use all the time. I tend to have backups because if something goes down, I can't really wait for parts to come in. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. We got 3 hours in and I'm ready to eat, so have a great day. And remember, be nice to people. It doesn't cost you anything. And you know, some people might just be having a really crappy day.